you struggling with getting obesity under control? You may be overlooking some of the simplest nutritional strategies. I see this day in and day out. Going for that shiny, marbles out there, missing the simplest things that have studies verifying their effects to help overcome obesity, help overcome excess fat. So there's 4 overlooked ones, particularly I want to go over today, that will aid in fat loss and make your results attainable and lasting. And they are protein, zinc, inositol, and berberine. So when people are decreasing calories, they often forget to increase their protein intake. This is a huge mistake. So if you're going to decrease your calories as part of your fat loss plan, which I think is completely reasonable, many people, when they go from eating processed food to eating more whole food, just automatically their caloric intake ends up going down. You want to increase your protein intake, as this will keep you from losing a bunch of metabolically supportive muscle tissue in the process of your weight loss. Many people lose weight with caloric restriction, but that weight is often about 50% muscle and 50% fat, or even more muscle and bone tissue than fat. And this is because their protein is going down when their calorie intake is going down. And studies show that if you keep your protein up or you raise your protein, you can actually minimize bone and muscle loss when you are decreasing calories. So instead of losing 20 pounds and 10 of those pounds being muscle and bone, leaving you in a more frail state, 19 of those pounds could be inflammatory fat tissue lost from your body, if indeed you're keeping that protein intake up. And this is a huge win and drastically increases the likelihood of you maintaining your new weight state. Not only that, but this can greatly increase one's energy during the day after that fat loss, as you still have all that muscle, all that bone tissue, all that metabolic active tissue on your body. You went from 180 to 160, and in the process, you maintain all your muscle mass. You literally lost like 19 pounds of inflammatory, death tissue. That's a huge win. All right, so we're gonna keep the protein up. Number 2 would be looking at zinc. Zinc is the #1 micronutrient deficiency in those who suffer with obesity. Now, just bludgeon yourself with zinc isn't how you can overcome obesity, but zinc supplementation with a restricted calorie diet, with that protein added in, has very favorable effects in reducing body weight and fat and decreasing inflammatory markers that promote fat loss resistance and insulin resistance and appetite in individuals with obesity. And this is just with 30 milligrams a day of zinc. One particular study was over 16 weeks, 15 weeks, showing this drastic effect by people who were consuming zinc while also following a lower calorie diet. And on top of that, I would say having your protein on board. All right, so number 2 is inositol. Inositol has special value in people who are suffering with obesity, also women who have PCOS, because it supports insulin sensitivity and overall glucose metabolism. And a common underlying challenge in those struggling with obesity and PCOS is the inability to efficiently get glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells. So in the process, insulin levels ends up rising. Appetite regulation becomes more and more challenging, especially if you have any kind of caloric restriction going on. And the cells, they're starved of energy. So they're gonna be ticked off. It's gonna be really hard to maintain your new food routine if all your cells are ticked off at you. So inositol helps overcome this. And anybody that has ever put themselves out there to change their food routine, and walk away from, say, the floury, sugary foods knows it is a whole lot easier when you aren't walking around, feeling ravenous, to stick with the plan. And beyond that, glucose, insulin, appetite regulation, inositol has been shown to improve markers of in the cardiovascular system and markers related to liver function in people who are carrying, way too much fat. All right, so we got the protein, we got the zinc with the inositol. Finally, let's talk about those berberines. Berberines, they're extracted from Oregon grape most commonly, but they're also found in many other plants, kind of as a mainstay for those working to overcome obesity and to support fat metabolism. In fact, studies on berberine show that it can reduce insulin resistance, improve insulin sensitivity, the actual receptors themselves, in muscle, liver, and fat cells. It's so wild. Just this little berberine guys can do this. Not only that, but berberine can reduce fat formation. If you don't want to get fatter, don't want those fat cells swelling, berberine might be something you want to check out. And it can positively impact gut bacterial balance and boost hormones that are related to, or the balance of hormones related to satiation from food. Berberine has the ability to decrease leptin secretion. And this hormone, leptin, it's what stimulates hunger. And if you keep that down, man, that could be the coolest thing of all. Keeping leptin under control. As so many patients have told me over the years, when working to transform their body composition and overcome obesity, they're often so hungry, especially maybe those first 3 months or so. At some point, it's like throwing in the towel, just can't take it anymore. So much of this is related to these hormones that are literally fighting against us. These hormones of appetite regulation. There's essentially this resistance. So bringing on board zinc, inositol, berberine, along with adequate protein, increasing that protein intake, the likelihood of being able to truly transform one's food habits and experience a life free of obesity, and over-the-top food cravings, just went through the roof. Which is better than ever. And this is not, messing your body up, making it so when you get a year down the road, 2 years down the road, now you're, sicker than ever. No, this is natural stuff to support you. All right, so one final note. Obesity is not about your outward appearance. Listen, obesity is not about your outward appearance. Skinny people and fat people externally both succumb to disease and dysfunction. The problem is what's happening on the inside. Or the most awesome thing is what's happening on the inside, depending on how you've been feeding yourself and thinking about yourself. The problem with a state of obesity, though, is that it skyrockets, excess fat on the body. It skyrockets the risk of joint and bone disease, of psychiatric disorders, of high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, sleep disorders. All these are going up as obesity is present in a human being. And obesity really is it's an inflammatory state that's going on. This excess fat tissue is producing inflammatory cytokines all the time, making it much more challenging, literally just to enjoy everyday life. This is outside of any external thing you can see on a person. So my suggestion when it comes to overcoming obesity, it's not about the scale, it's about making your internal environment awesome. So I'm not talking about taking a bunch of stimulants to just make your body, go into this crazy metabolic state. Because you know what, that's short-lived. It's going to backfire in the end. That's not lasting health. Whereas when we use these natural measures, like the increased protein, like the zinc, like the inositol, like the berberines, we're supporting the body's natural mechanisms of clearing inflammation, of helping with insulin resistance, of making it easier for glucose to get inside the cells and get out of the bloodstream, and get that starvation mode off the body. Because an obese person is actually starving. Their cells are starving for energy. And that's why they keep on collecting. They just keep collecting energy because they're starving. So give these a go. Let me know how it goes for you. And I'd love to hear your story of overcoming, creating a entirely new life routine, and accumulating crazy amounts of health. All right, I'm Dr. Matt. Talk to you guys later.